this video, we are going to put the spotlight on one of our 30 dynamic methods. It is called the Communicative Approach. You're probably asking, well, what is this Communicative Approach? If you do research, you'll come across definitions of this style of teaching or this method, this technique, and generally they're quite wordy. And if you take another TESOL course somewhere, you may have to write an essay and write the definition of this method out. But in the end, it doesn't really help you know how to use it. So I'll read you what the British Council says about the communicative approach, and then we'll kind of use that definition as a way to highlight the difference between our program and many other TESOL programs. So here's the definition. It says, the communicative approach is based on the idea that learning language successfully comes through having to communicate real meaning. When learners are involved in real communication, their natural strategies for language acquisition will be used, and this will allow them to learn to use the language. So that definition sounds quite scholarly and complete, quite thorough, but it doesn't really explain practically what the communicative approach is all about. With this method and in the explanation of all of the methods that we train people in, we strive to show them through their own practice in the classroom the practical ways to understand what the method is and then how to do it. So the communicative approach, basically speaking, is we have to get our students to talk about stuff that people naturally talk about every day. This approach of getting students to speak naturally is authentic. And teaching students authentic language is a critical component in getting them to learn the language rapidly. Now, in our program, the communicative approach is kind of like the trunk of the language learning tree from which all other methods and learning principles are based. Why does the communicative approach work so well? Because studies have shown that when new learners are exposed to new vocabulary, they have to use that vocabulary between 17 and 30 times in an authentic environment before that new vocabulary takes root in their long-term memory. So let's say you have 10 students in your classroom. By using the communicative approach, you will cause these 10 students to interact in the target language over 350 times. This amount of exposure to the target language rapidly helps the students to learn the language and to use it in a real setting. We'll just pause for a second and answer the question, what is the best setting to use this approach in? Many people believe that private classes are the best way to learn a language, but that actually is patently false. The best way for learners to acquire a language rapidly is to use it in an authentic setting with as many people as possible. So that means that in a classroom setting, it is far more productive when students can use what they're learning with more than just one person. Now, you can use the communicative approach in private classroom settings between the teacher and the student, but if you want explosive results, then use this approach in a group classroom. Why is that the case? Well, in a safe learning environment, when people meet with and try to interact with other people, even in a language in which they're not proficient in or they're trying to learn, the resulting positive emotions and positive endorphins supercharge the brain's processing power, thus making it easier for the students to take that new vocabulary from short-term memory to long-term memory. It also increases the flow of oxygen and the blood flow within the body when students can get up and talk to different people about different subjects. Again, increasing the brain's ability to process the information and retain it. So we have discussed what the communicative approach is. We've discussed why it's so effective in the classroom, especially in a group setting. But we still need to find out how to do the communicative approach. For the comprehensive answer as to how to do this method in a very practical and easy to follow way, as well as very thorough explanations on 29 other methods, you've got to join us for our 5-day dynamic online TESOL certification program. This program equips you not just to teach English, but really any language in which you're proficient in. In addition to teaching you the methods on how to teach English or other languages, we also interweave through our instruction 8 core teaching principles upon which all good teaching rests. Please do join us on one of our upcoming courses. You can find more information at www.lexica.world. We would be delighted to have you join us.